Hi everyone, welcome to section 4.3. Today we're looking at the quadratic formula. This is a famous formula in math. It's one that you're definitely going to have to know at some point. And if you're the type of person that has hated factoring, this formula is for you because it takes all of the guesswork and all of the play out of solving quadratics and finding roots. So let's get to it, okay? All right, so we know up here that this is our standard form of a quadratic. Make sure that your quadratic is equal to 0, and this will help us to find the x-intercepts. So here we go, there's our standard form, and we are going to use this crazy formula right there. That is our quadratic formula. You're gonna have to have it memorized to try and practice it a few times so it gets stuck in your head. The B, the A, and the C would refer to the A coefficient in our standard form, the B coefficient in the standard form, and the C constant term. Okay, so the easiest way is to just jump right in and take a look. What I would like to do is I think questions A and B, they're a little bit too kind of straightforward. I want to see question C because you get to have all three values that go in. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have a nice kind of typing way to do this, so you're going to have to deal with my pen tool. It's a little bit messy, but I'm sure you'll get the idea. So I'm going to scroll down a bit so you can see both the formula and our equation. When you look at your equation, the A term is the one next to the x squared. So I always like writing them out twice. Okay, or writing them out so you can see them so I don't get confused. So A is 2. My B term is the middle one. Keep in mind, this happens to have a negative in front of it. That means, or a subtraction or a minus sign. That means that my B value is -5. So please be careful with your signs. Okay, and then this last one over here would be the term at the end with no x's next to it. This is your C value, and we always look at the sign in front also, so C equals -1. So we've got A, B, and C are three values. Okay, so the question here, we are being asked to find the roots or the x-intercepts. Instead of factoring, we're going to jump straight into our quadratic formula, which is this guy. So x equals -b, so negative, and I like putting things in brackets just to help me out as I replace them. So -b, my b value is -5, so I'm going to plug in a -5. So -b, if b is -5, keep a negative. Yep, I've got two negative signs there, we'll fix it in a second. Plus or minus. Eventually, when we get through, we're going to end up with two calculations because remember, a parabola should have two roots. Well, sometimes if it crosses the x-axis, right? So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared, so -5 squared, minus 4ac, and my c value was -1. Okay, so I'm just taking my A, B, and C values from my quadratic equation. Okay. So -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a, and my a value again was 2. Okay, and now at this point you are simply doing BADMAS to figure out what your roots or your x-intercepts are. Okay, so negative times -5 is going to be a +5, okay, which is great. And then we're going to have plus or minus the square root. Okay, b squared, -5 squared is +25, right? Negative times a negative is a positive. -5 times -5 is +25. So make sure you're plugging that in on your calculators properly. And then 4 times 2 times -1. This is -8. So I need to subtract -8. And you know that when you subtract -8, that will become a positive in our next line. Okay, and all of this has to be over 2a, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, all right, and we're going to keep using BEDMAS to simplify. I still have to simplify under my root sign. So this is going to be 5 plus or minus the square root of 25. Now remember, this is plus 8. So 25 plus 8 is 33, okay, all over 4. We're going to get a couple decimals. That's fine. Deal with the decimals. There we go. We should get about 5.7. You can keep a few decimals in there if you like. I'm just, for now, just for the example, I'm going to cut it down to 1. So this is going to be 5 plus or minus 5.7 divided by 4. Okay. So now we're going to take this plus minus sign and we're going to separate it into our two roots. So x is going to equal 5 plus 5.7 all divided by 4. Or x is going to equal 5 minus 5.7 all divided by 4. Okay, so those are our two roots, and you can plug these into your calculators. Give me a few seconds here. So we're going to have 5 plus 5.7 divided by 4. You should get around 2.6 or 2.7. I've kept all of my decimals in my calculator. So if I round properly, I should get 2.7. On the other side, now I'm going to look at this root. 5 minus our 5.7 divided by 4. We should get negative, again, if you're rounding, negative 0.2. It ends up being like negative 0.186. Okay, but I'm just going to round. Okay, so these are our two roots. That means our parabola would cross at positive 2.7 and at negative 0.2. Okay, so those are your x-intercepts or your roots using the quadratic formula instead of by factoring. Okay, and you can see how ugly this would be if you would have had to have figured out a way to factor it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. There's lots of examples online for this and in your textbook, so feel free to use anything that you need. Okay, all right, good luck, and we'll see you in the next section.